Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Skip Elsheimer. This is the AV Geeks lunchtime streaming show where we watch old 16mm films. And that was kind of fascinating. Like in the middle of this big industrial manufacturing film, some guy gets a cinder in his eye and has to go to the doctor, go to the infirmary. That was really kind of interesting. Normally they don't show that, but there you go. Without that being the point, I guess is what I'm trying to say is like somebody gets a splinter or cinder in their eye, then it's like, okay, you need to wear goggles, or okay, you need to take this precaution. So it's kind of interesting. Excuse me. All right. Time for going back to a simpler time before we turn pig iron into steel. This is Colonial Children. Enjoy.
It is the year 1680. In the English colony of Massachusetts stands the Adams house. Mother Adams finishes cooking breakfast over blazing logs in the big fireplace, just as Father Adams comes in carrying 2 buckets of water swinging from a wooden yoke on his shoulders. The fireplace is the center of most household activities. Breakfast will be hasty pudding made of cornmeal, served in wooden plates called trenchers. As usual, Rebecca Adams and her younger sister Cynthia help their mother. They have moved the trestle board up near the fire. With a ladle made from a gourd, Mother dips milk from the homemade wooden bucket. Mr. Adams is a well-to-do Massachusetts farmer and a devout one. Rebecca and Cynthia stand respectfully at their places, and Brother Jonathan, too, while Father says grace.
Heavenly Father, bless thou this food to the good of our bodies, that we this day may walk in thy path. Go with us as we work, and shelter us from all harm. Amen.
Now that grace has been said, Rebecca, Cynthia, and Jonathan may be seated and begin their meal. Cynthia is proud of her silver cup, made by a silversmith of Boston. Jonathan's trencher is heaped with good hasty pudding, made of the meal from their own Indian corn. Milk is a food important to all, especially now in late fall. There are no more fresh vegetables. The Adamses eat their breakfast in silence. Children are to speak only when spoken to. And Father Adams is quiet because his mind is occupied with thoughts of work for the day. It is a rule among the colonists to stop eating when only moderately full. After breakfast, Cynthia attends little Daniel, the only one of the children born in America. Jonathan's first job for the day is to make a new splint broom for his mother. A stick of red birch has been softened in water, and now Jonathan needs only a sharp knife. Thin strips or splints are carefully peeled back toward the end and folded over each other. The remainder of the stick is whittled down to form the handle. While Jonathan works, Mother keeps the fire going. Additional splints are used to bind those in the broom together.
Mother, I finished the broom.
You were a good son, Jonathan.
While Father chops firewood, the children study.
Hallowed be thy name, T-H-Y, K-I-N-G-E-O-N-E, thy kingdom come.
Jonathan is reading his New England primer.
He who ne'er learns his ABC forever will a blockhead be. But he who to his books inclined will soon a golden treasure find. A. In Adam's fall we sinned all. B. Thy life to men this book attend. C. The cat doth play and after slay. D. A dog will bite a thief at night. E. An eagle's flight is out of sight. F.
Rebecca has come over to see how lessons are progressing. But something outside causes her to look up. It must be something unusual.
What is it, Jonathan? A fox. It must be the one that got our chickens last week.
A fox. There's a reward for the one who kills him. The Adams long-barreled musket is heavy for Jonathan, but Father is away in the woodlot. The fox may soon be off, and Jonathan is eager for the reward.
Mother, Jonathan shot the fox.
How wonderful.
Oh, what a beautiful fox. See, Mother, I shot it.
What a fine big one.
Yes, and now he claims the bounty, too.
Yes, it's 3 shillings 6 pence, isn't it, Father?
That's right, son. Here, let me take him.
3 shillings 6 pence. 1 shilling to put aside toward his gun, with some left over. And here is Jonathan's list. Save for gun 1 shilling. Knife 1 and 6. Fish hooks 3 pence. Comb 3. Sweetmeats 6. In the afternoon, neighbors arrive at the Adams house.
Good day, Mistress Adams. Welcome, friends. Won't you come in? It's very kind of you to help me make my fine new quilt.
It is always a pleasure to help a friend. And only right that we should come, for you helped us last spring.
Oh, Polly.
Will you not take off your cloaks?
Good day, Rebecca. It's good to see you. I'm so glad you came.
Cynthia and Polly are always glad to see each other. Making quilts is tiresome work, and Mrs. Adams' neighbors help her, just as she helped them. The decorated cloth came from India. When Cynthia and Polly are older, they too will help make quilts. They too will have to spin and weave and sew, and make candles and soap. Just now they play Cratch Cradle. Meanwhile, the quilting goes on. Mrs. Adams and Polly's mother are rubbing colored chalk on a piece of cord. This is stretched tightly. And now, when the string is plucked, a straight chalk line is left on the cloth. Cynthia and Polly have put aside their game. Young as they are, they have already learned to do useful work. On this hand loom, Cynthia is making a strip of tape for the tyings and lacings needed for homespun clothing. Polly works on a piece of needlework, making letters and samples of stitches. So the cloth is called a sampler. Both Polly and Cynthia someday will have to make cloth and sheets and towels, dresses and suits and bonnets. This my sampler. Here you see what care my mother took of me. Such work was a part of the early training of these colonial women, without whose skilled fingers quilts could not be made. Hands prepared the wool for the quilt. Hands made the thread for the quilt. And hands guide the needles. Evening, and time for lighting candles. Homemade candles of tallow or wax. In the evening, as always, home life centers around the fire in the big brick fireplace, the fire that is kept steadily burning for cooking for warmth, and for light. Father, tired from a day of work on his farm, sits down for a quiet smoke. With pipe tongs, he picks up a live ember to light his pipe. Then he rests contentedly, perhaps thinking of the friends he left behind in England 6 years ago. For the women of the household, evening does not mean an end of work. There is wool to be spun by candlelight. There is cloth to be woven by candlelight, woven on the handmade loom, woven by tireless hands that have learned both skill and patience. Jonathan shells corn to be ground into meal. Now Rebecca fills the warming pan with hot coals. Beds are upstairs, and the warming pans will make cold beds more comfortable. The day comes to a close with Father's reading of the Scriptures.
Of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God. In him will I trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. There shall be no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. For he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways.
Oh yeah, that's right. Those early EB films just kind of end without any like outro music or summation. Yeah, but it has our good friend James Brill. James Brill, the narrator. Sorry for the Fox drama, the Fox killing drama. All right, behind me I have a film scanner, and I have something set up. It's called Total Communication, Captioned Edition. Captioned Edition. Enjoy.
Here. I see one teacher and 6 boys here today, right? How many boys?
5.
5? No,
This preschool class of deaf children is using total communication.
Chris is here.
All were 4 years old at the beginning of the school year, and all have profound hearing losses which have been present since birth. Total communication involves the use of speech, speech reading, sign language, amplification, reading, writing, and fingerspelling. Total communication makes possible a more open and complete interaction between parents and their deaf child, between teacher and child, and between the deaf child and his peers. Restriction of a child's natural attempts to communicate serves as a denial of his right to be.
Hot face. Oh, that's awful. What happened yesterday? Picnic, yes, where? Inside? Here? Outside? Really? It was raining. Windy, yes. You want to write about that? You want to write about that? Fire, yes.
Oh, the paper.
Toasted. Marshmallows. Would you like that?
Here, the classroom interaction is based heavily upon the personal involvement of the children. The teacher and pupils function as a group. Even more importantly, there is extensive student-to-teacher communication and student-to-student communication.
I can't hear you. Where's your voice? Well, put it in the fire first. Yes, a little bit. Hold it in the fire. Toast it. Candy. Yeah.
Language grows out of human experience. Natural dialogue among very young deaf children is possible through total communication.
What else did you eat?
This enables the deaf child to cope with everyday emotions, such as anger and fear, in ways other than through temper tantrums. These emotions and abstract concepts can be discussed among parent, teacher, and child, eliminating the frustrations faced by deaf children when communication is restricted.
Tyrone. Yes. Did they really shoot the car? Really? About the picture. Yeah. Right.
Should I write that? What should I write here about the picnic?
Miss Brubaker was cross. Should we write that?
Total communication places strong emphasis on speech as well as on the use of residual hearing and the highly visual language of signs.
Picnic. You say that? Picnic. Picnic. Yeah.
Picnic.
Same. Picnic. Picnic. Picnic.
Yeah.
Okay, what should Miss Bogner write? You want to write about your sandwiches? Nay. What? Well, sandwiches. Sandwiches with bread.
Not only in the classroom, but in the home, total communication has major value. The addition of sign language and fingerspelling reinforces speech reading.
Inside or outside?
This is true because signs describe the concepts and feelings being expressed. This is of great importance in the family setting. The parents who will be talking to us all have children who were born deaf and who are now 3 years of age or younger.
Put him in these soundproof rooms, and they tested him in there with sound, and at the same time the sound, they had a light, and he would respond to the light but not the sound, no matter how high they turned it. So they went from there at his young age, determined he had about a 90% decibel loss. I mean, he was less than 2 years old when we came down to Frederick in the preschool program. And we went all over before in other states even, and they didn't have any preschool till around 5 or even 6 years old. And Frederick had it one started, well, they took him right away. They don't have any age limit. They say the younger they are, the better they are. And as fast as they catch on, I agree with them real well. Matter of fact, the young ones can catch on faster than the older ones. I found out later on in the program that this total communication with signs and speech, he just picked it right up and no trouble at all communicating.
A baby learns to talk before they learn to read if they can hear. Timmy could understand signs before he could understand lip reading, and I feel that was the most helpful thing, is learning the signs so that he could communicate with us and we could communicate with him, and being sure he understood what you were saying was the most rewarding thing.
We manage her behavior by giving her spankings when she needs spankings, and having her go in her room when she needs to go in her room. And she responded real well when we give her this, whenever she's wrong. She don't think we're doing her mean, because she understands when she in wrong, she knows that she's going to get something for it. As we just found out around about a month ago that Cassandra needed glasses. She wasn't responding to paperwork and close work, and we're taking her at the doctor, and they began to tell us that Cassandra's farsighted. After Cassandra received her glasses, she began to do close work, and she began to pay attention more. My son noticed that Cassandra were babbling more. He said, "Mommy, Cassandra talking now." I said, "Yes, Robert, Cassandra's talking now."
I discipline Timmy the same as I do Amy. Sometimes maybe he doesn't always understand, but we try to explain to him why he's being punished. He's treated just the same, and I feel that they're not treated any different, and there's no difference in disciplining a non-hearing child as a hearing child. They're both children.
Well, with the three older ones and him, we actually treat him just like one of the family, because the whole family's been to sign language class, and they know what this total communication is, and they all use it. So we just don't even, we even talk to him and holler at him sometimes and forget he's deaf. We just communicate with him and just treat him like one of the family. We don't, right? Right. Yeah, I mean, like I say, there's if he does something wrong, he gets corrected just like anybody else. We don't let him get by with anything. Like I say, it was only about 1.5 years and they couldn't talk anyway. But with signs, he could catch on, and he grabbed a hold of signs. And now, also, he goes to preschool up in Hagerstown, and they work on his speech more up there. And he does sign and speech at the same time.
Horse. Dog.
This is a test. I want your best speech, please. Okay, what's that? How?
Individual speech instruction and evaluation is an important regular part of a total communication program, even for the most profoundly deaf child.
Better. Okay, wait. Look here. Before we read, I want you to remember something. Is this right? Right? What's wrong? What? Voice. I forgot my voice. We made sandwiches with peanut butter and bread and jelly. Is that right? What? What's wrong? Sign. Yes, sign together. With voice. Same time. Okay, ready? Okay, Carol, quick word. Our picnic. God said we made sandwiches with peanut butter and bread and jelly. Jelly. And we went outside
teacher is sensitive to the responses of the children, but does not dominate the classroom scene.
1, 2, park. Yes, that's the place with trees and a swing and sliding board. Remember? Okay. Why did I spank Johnny? John? Oh, I remember. Yeah, what was the name of that? Bridge? The bridge?
Here the children are learning from each other, as you and I learned 95% of what we know. Joey, Randy, and Scott are discussing a very complex activity of 2 days ago, using signs, gestures, speech, and mime. This is the kind of abstract linguistic interchange possible between preschool deaf children using total communication. This is why deaf people overwhelmingly support the concept of total communication.
This reminds me, I do some work occasionally for the Linguistics department at NC State. We've digitized some film, some video for them, some audio, and basically one of my friends in that department did a documentary, a very short documentary about early 20th century when they started doing deaf schools for the deaf. They were segregated. And what that meant was that the kids that, African American kids that went to a segregated deaf school kind of learned the American Sign Language, but also had their own variations on it. And so it's like a whole different, there's some similarities, but there's a lot of difference as far as the way they communicate. And so this film reminds me of the fact that if you give kids the tools, they will try to communicate however they can. So really kind of fascinating doc. I don't know where you can see it, but it is really great. Dialect, yeah, maybe, but there's some actual grammar structures that were different too. So yeah, but it is very similar to I guess a dialect and different regional ways that people say things and express themselves, and that carries over into the deaf community as well. So back in my day, we used to call it printing. What did you call it?
Yes, we used to call it printing. And for centuries after Gutenberg started the whole thing by inventing movable type, it was printing. The printer, sometimes with the help of an artist, set words in type and he printed books. Graphic communications today is something else. It involves more people, more sciences and skills, more activity than Gutenberg could have imagined. Artists today shape ideas into graphic forms and rely on other specialists to reproduce them. Yet they have a link with Gutenberg. They think of their work as he did, as a combination of art and adventure. Sometimes the adventure is more pop than purposeful, more medium than message, and mostly for laughs. Dimensional printing relies on photography for its novel effects. The sense of depth is an illusion, created by first photographing objects through a special plastic lens, then viewing the picture through a similar plastic lens. Scenes are carefully arranged for their three-dimensional quality. On production runs, pictures are printed normally, then laminated with lens material to match the original. Setting type by telephone is one way publications make sure their regional editions match the original. News stories in the Wall Street Journal, written and edited on the East Coast, are encoded on paper tape and sent over telephone lines to regional plants, like this one near San Francisco. Duplicate tapes are created on arrival and connected to typesetting machines. When the tapes are played back, their perforations cause the machines to set the right letters and cast them in lines of type. This is just one of many changes taking place in the production of newspapers. In this plant, a new computer will eliminate paper tape. Electronic circuits will activate typesetting machines automatically. Other papers are using photomechanical and electronic equipment to set type photographically. The front page is the last to be locked up. Late news items are added and shifted according to editorial priorities, right up to the edition deadline. Then page one is plated and the presses start. This plant also sends copies of its pages to the Journal plant in Riverside, California, for distribution in the Los Angeles area and surrounding states. From the metal type forms, clean proofs are pulled, put on a facsimile cylinder and synchronized with the receiving station. As the cylinder spins, a tiny beam of light scans the page, and this signal is transmitted by microwave almost 400 miles to Riverside, where it is recorded on film, developed, plated, printed, and shipped. With such modern technology, the Wall Street Journal has become the only national daily newspaper in the United States. Perhaps the greatest appeal and the greatest challenge of graphic communications is in color reproduction. Each page, each set of plates, is carefully proofed, checked, corrected, and checked again. In the case of this advertisement, each proof is pulled on the paper stock and with the inks used in the magazine in which it will appear. But control of reproduction quality begins long before the proof press stage. It begins with the separation cameraman who photographs the original art through filters to separate each color into its primary components. The cameraman's skill is the first measure of the final printed product. He must know the original art, the printing process, the final use, and the best way to get the result he's after. New developments in technology are changing graphic communications. Electronic scanners for consistent color separation, new light sources, developments in metallurgy and chemical emulsions, new materials and new ways of making plates. These are bringing higher standards and fewer variables to all the hard work graphic communications has to do in the marketplace. Every label is an appeal for attention. And each one of those labels must be designed. Art must be prepared, copywritten, typeset, and all the other steps taken. And this too is graphic communications. A packet of seeds is something else. Not so much an appeal to buy as a promise of fulfillment. And the packet itself is part of the promise. This is a gravure cylinder. It's made of copper-clad steel, carefully balanced. And after it's been meticulously made ready, it's ready-made for long press runs. Big gravure presses print 10 colors in a single pass, 5 to a side. They print millions of magazines, or millions of mail-order catalogs, or millions of whatever needs to be said or done. Films for packaging, or foil for packaging, or paper for packaging. Tablets and capsules don't have a lot of printing. Usually just the manufacturer's trademark, and sometimes the size of the dosage. But even that might be an important message. Drug bottles have labels, and so do tubes. Soft drink cans, beer cans, and coffee cans are printed too, by a different process called metal decorating. Think of all the special interest publications that are printed every month. Professional journals, alumni news, trade publications, and hobby magazines. As these flashing characters show, the main thrust of graphic communications is towards science and technology. This photo typesetter exposes type in a variety of sizes and at great speed. Bypassing metal type entirely, it delivers clean proofs on film. A further advance in technology is this computer-driven electronic typesetter. Entire volumes can be programmed into the computer and printed out on the face of a cathode ray tube, where they are photographed as page units ready for plate making. Data processing technology is now a vital part of graphic communications. Programmers and production specialists are working together on new applications. This press starts with a roll of paper and delivers a finished book. But people in graphic communications are also committed to the traditional. Strongly stitched, carefully assembled books. Graphic communications has much to offer young people, including some excellent colleges at which to learn about it. Fine arts students have always been interested in graphic techniques. Now, with prints in demand, more of them than ever are exploring traditional methods to create original designs. Many other young people, aware of the career possibilities in the field, are going to schools that teach graphic communications. They start with the fundamentals, in type. The first step is to set it by hand. From there, they go on to learn all they can about the art and science of printing. Learning by doing. But not this young lady. She doesn't plan to be a typesetter. She's majoring in journalism. But now she knows how a line caster works, and that will never be wasted knowledge on a newspaper. Industry schools, often sponsored jointly by companies and unions, are busy too, with apprentices learning basic skills and experienced journeymen retraining for new and better jobs. That's a sign of the times. The technology of graphic communications is changing so fast that a man entering the field now can expect to retrain 4 times before he retires. There is probably no single industry that affects so many of us and that offers so much. As it moves from a craft to a science, it needs scientists, chemists, physicists, technicians, and engineers. Yet it also needs craftsmen, photographers, artists, and businessmen, managers, salesmen, specialists in finance, scheduling, administration, production, personnel, and people with ideas, art directors, advertising men. People with strong opinions, editors, writers, educators, communications specialists, and all the people who want to think of their work as both art and adventure. Graphic communications. We used to call it printing. Graphic communications. We used to call it printing.
You were screaming for it to stop, but come on. A DuPont sponsored film about graphic arts communication with some wailing flute and bongos. Come on, where else are you going to see that? That was awesome. I'm sorry, that was really awesome. A little indulgent at the end, granted, but still. It was pretty great, and I'm happy that you were there for it. Somebody, was it Rich Fulton who? Somebody donated some cash early on, and I wasn't able to call it out, but it's very much appreciated, in spite of what I show and how traumatizing it is. Thanks for supporting us. That's very much appreciated. All right. Everybody have a great rest of your day. We'll be back tomorrow on Wednesday. And we'll show you more stuff. Every day. Every day something different. Something new. Something unexpected. And that's why I like to do this, and why I like to have you come along for the ride. Everybody have a good time. Hit thumbs up. Hit like. Hit subscribe. And we'll see you tomorrow